Hello and welcome to New Mexico Rising. My name is Mandy, and here on this show, every week we interview some awesome people from around the country to bring you lifestyle tips, tricks, and more. And this week we have this.
Carrying around this much body fat increases your chances of heart disease, increases your chances of getting things like diabetes, multiple cancers, and so forth.
I love Christmas, I love to bake, and I love family. Hosting baking shows literally it doesn't feel like work to me. It is so much fun. And this show is that. It is fun for all your senses.
I didn't know what I could bring to this story that hadn't already been done before. The story's been covered ad nauseum since 1978. But when I talked to Patrick McManus, our showrunner and executive producer, he told me this idea of focusing on the victims and their families, and that we'd have these like short stories in every episode where you would meet some of his victims before they ever crossed paths with John Gacy, and that was really intriguing to me.
Anything about Albuquerque that you remember that you loved? I know this is an offhand question.
You know what is you're gonna. This is hilarious. This is what I remember is they put me in a hotel that did not have a restaurant near it, and so I walked on the freeway to the Olive Garden.
All that and more on New Mexico Rising.
Do you ever wonder what it really takes to turn your health around? This new series follows people facing life or death stakes as they fight for a second chance. Today, we're joined by Dr. Charles Proctor, renowned bariatric surgeon from 1,000 Pound Sisters and 1,000 Pound Best Friends, now featured in Dangerously Obese, sharing what these life-changing journeys look like up close. Welcome to the show, Dr. Proctor. How are you?
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for having me. I'm great.
Okay, for viewers meeting you through this series, how do you define dangerously obese, like medically speaking, and what kind of risks are your patients facing when they first come to you?
So these are patients who are overweight to the point where it affects not only their day-to-day lives, but their health in very dramatic ways. You're going to see patients who are immobile because of their weight, or very minimally mobile. You'll see very young people who are on a terrible trajectory where they may not live to see even middle age. So when we say dangerously obese, that's truly what it is. And this is a danger not only from a physical standpoint, but from a stigma standpoint as well.
And the show follows patients for a year or maybe even more. What are the first milestones you look for before, during, and after bariatric surgery to know someone's truly on the right track?
That's a great question. And to your point, we need to look for these milestones before we ever get to the operating room. These are patients who have, for the most part, lived their lives in a body that is much, much too heavy, and they've actually built their lives around that. And getting over that mental hurdle of saying, okay, I'm going to make a transformation not only physically, but mentally and psychologically. I'm going to change the way I approach life and the way I do things. I'm going to set goals for that, and I'm going to trust this process as we go through it. I'm going to make sure that I do my part nutritionally and so forth to make sure that this is successful. That's what we want to see before we even talk about approaching the operating room.
And beyond the operating room, what support systems make the biggest difference, like nutrition, mental health, family buy-in? How does the series show that side of the work as well?
Well, to answer your question, all of the above, right? This is a multifactorial disease that requires a multidisciplinary approach. And especially with the patients of the size that you're going to see in this show, very often they have friends and family members who are codependent. And, the very first episode, you're going to see a mother and daughter who are, the mother is immobile, the daughter is very close to being immobile simply because of their weight. And they have family members who have to give up aspects of their lives to take care of these two every single day. So not only is this a psychological hurdle for both the patients to go through, but also these family members who have set up their lives around taking care of their loved ones.
And many people watching might be a little afraid to take that first step. What common myths about bariatric surgery do you want to clear up? And what does a realistic recovery even look like?
The biggest myths out there are that this is a dangerous surgery. Certainly there is no procedure out there that is 100% risk-free, right? But it is so much more dangerous to allow your body to go through carrying around this much body fat. It increases your chances of heart disease, increases your chances of getting things like diabetes, multiple cancers, and so forth. Having surgery is so much more safe, so much safer than not losing the weight. The other thing is, when I hear people say, well, this is the easy way out, it's anything but. I don't think you'll find any weight loss surgery patient out there to tell you that there's anything easy about this entire process. There's no easy day. Waking up every single day, it's a battle to fight even after the surgery because you're going through such a massive transformation in your body. And once you've achieved those goals, you have to maintain this healthy lifestyle, or else you're going to find yourself back to where you started from. So certainly not the easy way out, and I would like for people to understand that.
And the stories here are raw and personal. Without spoiling way too much, is there a moment or a patient breakthrough that happens this season that really captures why these journeys really matter?
Yeah, I think what you're going to see with each one of these stories is those breakthroughs can happen anytime from the very initial contact I have with that patient to even sometime way after their surgery has been completed and they're believing for the first time that, wow, I went through this and I am seeing a change. You'll see their lives transform, each and every one of them, and becoming the people that they want to be and achieving some of the hopes and dreams that they always had that thought were never possible again. So each patient on this has their own journey and their own story, and that aha moment that's individual to each one of them. So hopefully that gets well conveyed and people will learn to love it because of that.
Dr. Proctor, I want to thank you for joining me this morning. You can catch out Dangerously Obese. It's available now on TLC. For clips and details, head to TLC.com and check out or look up Dangerously Obese. Dr. Proctor, I really want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. You have a great day.
So what happens when you mix family recipes, holiday magic, and a little friendly competition? You get Baked with Love Holiday, Hallmark's brand new baking series that's equal parts sugar, spirit, and storytelling. Hosted by Tamara Mowry-Housley, yes, the sister. I'm so excited, I'm getting twitches, and it feels like I'm 17 again, but I might need some strong medicine to get me back to the real. Alongside acclaimed chef Anna Haugh and New York Times food writer Vaughn Vreeland, this feel-good show celebrates home bakers, heritage, and the heart behind every bite. Welcome, you three. How are you?
Dan, I was very impressed. That was really good.
Oh, thank you.
I gotta say,
That was good.
that was good. I didn't know where you were going with that, but I was like, oh, look at him go, Dan!
All right, Tamara, you've done everything from talk shows to holiday movies. What inspired you to bring your warmth and energy to a baking competition like Baked with Love Holiday?
I love Christmas. I love to bake, and I love family. Hosting baking shows literally it doesn't feel like work to me. It is so much fun. And this show is that it is fun for all your senses. I mean, visually, it's probably the most gorgeous baking show I have ever seen. Wouldn't you agree?
It was amazing. Yeah.
All right, the show is all about family traditions and heritage recipes. What's one story or dish from the contestants that really stuck with you? You know, something that made you think, what's this baking thing all about?
I can't give too much away, but there was definitely one that was themed like one of my favorite holiday movies, and they sculpted it. And when Anna and I both tasted it, we were like, that's the best thing that we've eaten this entire competition. And they were able to also weave in elements not only of like this holiday movie, which obviously their family watches, but also the flavors that their family love to work with. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about, Anna, but I remember eating it. I was like, this is like really, really good and like professional level flavor. And that was like probably the best thing that I ate.
Anna, you've judged world-class chefs. How different is it judging home bakers who are putting generations of family pride in every recipe?
Oh my God, it was amazing. So for me, like when you enter into a competition, you believe inside your heart that you've got something special. And that's what Vaughn and I were looking for. And actually also Tamara, she, we're called the judges, but Tamara was also like, hey.
With my facial expressions, Anna.
So it was all down to each kind of pair really kind of fulfilling what they knew they had inside. And it was really exciting. And I know professional chefs are very similar for that reason when they compete, but it really was about like the one, like professionals have all of these rules and people who are home cooks, they don't have those rules. And as a result, they can be far more kind of, cooking with abandonment and delight and creativity that really made the competition exceptionally exciting. And also that like, it was like as if they didn't know what was coming next, that it was like a whirlwind of a journey that, brought them up and brought them down. And, sometimes they thought they were going home and then they stayed. And then, it was a really fun, amazing baking competition to judge.
In the holidays, it can get stressful in the kitchen. What's your best advice for people who want to create something special without losing the joy of the season?
Ooh,
I know you're going to say it.
I think that one of the things that the contestants like really helped bring me back to as well was abandoning that like perfectionism when you're in the kitchen. I think as bakers, as professionals, we're always so rigid and so tough on ourselves. And when you can actually kind of be a little bit more liberated and kind of come back to the reason why you're even doing it anyway, and when you're doing it with other people, I think that is actually the thing that makes it much more enjoyable. And that literally is baking with love, right?
Yes.
Like that is not only loving others, but also loving yourself.
What you're doing.
Yeah. And what you're doing, and like being a little bit easier on yourself too, because at the end of the day, you're going to eat something sweet and delicious.
Right? Have fun. That's what I would say.
I want to thank you three for joining me today. Baked with Love Holiday is streaming now on Hallmark Channel and Hallmark Plus. It's a celebration of baking, family, and the joy that comes from sharing what you love. For recipes, highlights, and more, visit hallmarkchannel.com/bakedwithloveholiday. And I want to thank you three for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
You're amazing. Bye, Dan.
We're all seeing more headlines than ever, but how much of what we read is actually true? A new survey from SmartNews finds most Americans are worried about misinformation and even more concerned about how new technology like AI can make it even worse. So joining us to unpack what the survey reveals and how to separate fact from fiction is Jason Alderman, Managing Director of SmartNews. Welcome to the show, Jason. How are you?
Thank you for having me on to talk about this really important issue.
Okay, there's this new survey that you guys have that really paints a picture of how frustrated people are with misinformation. What stood out to you most about what Americans are feeling right now?
Well, people are very worried. This is probably the highest profile off-year election that America's had in a decade, including in New Mexico with elections coming up on November 4th. But the problem is bad actors are taking advantage of this and creating wave after wave of misinformation, and Americans are terrified. They told us in the SmartNews survey, 92% of all Americans are worried that misinformation will be used to impact this election in November. And it's a bipartisan issue. 95% of Democrats are worried about misinformation, 92% of Republicans, and even 88% of independents say misinformation is a real problem leading up to this election.
And we've been hearing a lot about artificial intelligence shaping the news cycle. How is AI affecting the spread of misinformation, and should people be worried as we head into this election season?
You know, AI is such a powerful tool. We think about how it's changed our lives and society just in the last year alone. It's incredible. But it's also a tool that can be used against us. In the blink of an eye, people can create incredibly realistic pictures, videos, text, audio, and they can do it with incredible quantities. We are facing a tsunami of AI-created misinformation, and Americans told us they're really worried about this. 91% of people in the SmartNews survey said they're worried about AI-generated misinformation impacting this election. And get this, only 10% of those people feel extremely confident in their ability to identify that AI-created misinformation. So the disconnect between the fear and the ability to do something about it is huge.
And it can be hard to tell what's real online. What are some simple ways people can fact check what they're seeing and make sure that they're actually getting accurate information?
Well, the sad reality is we are all our own fact checkers these days. It's incumbent upon us to figure out fact from fiction. So I like to think of remembering your facts, your FACTs. F stands for fake expert. Who's telling you this? Just because they have thousands of followers online does not make them an expert. The A stands for anger. If you're finding your blood boiling, that's probably a red flag right there. Conspiracy is for C. That if it's part of a conspiracy theory, you really need to ask yourself, is this real or not? And the T stands for trust. Stick with trusted news sources you've been to before, not just some random person that comes up in your feed.
So how is SmartNews working to help users find credible news and avoid falling into the misinformation trap?
Well, the good news is people who are watching this program are already on a really reliable, high-quality news outlet. You can also go to SmartNews. We have hundreds of different news outlets from across the country, from across the political spectrum, all in one place.
And for finally, anybody that wants to learn more, try out the app. Where should they go?
You can download it from the SmartNews app from your favorite app store, or you can go to smartnews.com.
Jason Alderman, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Do you ever wonder how someone so monstrous hid in plain sight for so long? Peacock's new limited series, Devil in Disguise, John Wayne Gacy, peels back the layers of the crimes and centers on the lives that were forever changed. So joining us is the star of the series, Michael Chernus, who takes on the role of Gacy with a careful human lens. Welcome to the show, Michael. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I want to thank you for being here. What drew you to this role, and how did you approach portraying Gacy without doing the thing where a lot of them do, like glorify him?
This is a great question, and thank you for saying that. I was hesitant at first, to be honest. I didn't know if I wanted to tie my name to his name for the rest of all time, and I didn't know what I could bring to this story that hadn't already been done before. The story's been covered ad nauseum since 1978. But when I talked to Patrick McManus, our showrunner and executive producer, he told me this idea of focusing on the victims and their families, and that we'd have these like short stories in every episode where you would meet some of his victims before they ever crossed paths with John Gacy. And that was really intriguing to me. And he also told me that we weren't going to see any murder on screen, and that he really wasn't interested in showing the killer clown persona that we all know so well. And so for me, that was really interesting and intriguing because, like you said, I could just focus on the man and who he was, and not sensationalize him or certainly not glorify him, but really just to show him as he was, so that maybe we could begin to understand why he did what he did. And one of the things I discovered was that he was just hiding in plain sight. He was a real kind of just a regular guy, a blue-collar suburban Chicago contractor, and nothing that sort of spectacular, interesting about him. He was just kind of blended into normal society, which to me is actually much more terrifying than some, mustache twirling villain character.
And the show highlights missed opportunities and systemic failures. What did you learn about how this went unchecked for so long?
That was one of the most disturbing things doing the research, was seeing the systemic failures and institutional bias that allowed Gacy to get away with this for so long. A lot of his victims were young men who either came from, poor families, backgrounds that the police didn't seem to care about. They wrote them off as runaways. Some of them had drug problems. Some of them were sex workers. Some of them were homosexual. And so often the police would just kind of look the other way. Gacy's name was brought to the Chicago PD a number of times. And they would interview him, and he would often say, "Oh yeah, I met that kid, but the encounter we had was completely consensual. The sex was consensual, and I don't know where he is, or I drove him back to work, and I don't know where he went from there." And so the cops kind of turn the other cheek a lot of the time. And another piece of it is that the technology now is so much better. Back then, police departments didn't speak to each other the way they do now. John Gacy had been arrested in 1968 in Iowa, but when he got released and moved to Chicago, the Chicago PD had no record of that prior felony.
And as an actor stepping into a role who did something so heinous in real life, how do you explore creating that character for yourself without either going too deep into it or making it too much of a parody?
Yeah, very carefully is how you explore it. It's really tricky stuff. One of the things I discovered about Gacy was just that he wore these different masks all the time. That he said it himself. There were these different versions of John. There was John the contractor, John the politician, John the family man. And so I started to realize in scenes, I didn't have to play the entire human being all at once. I didn't have to show all of the darkness. I was just playing the version of him in that scene that he wanted you to see, you being whoever was in front of him. And so he really was a master manipulator, in my opinion, and he was a chameleon. And so he could kind of be whoever he felt like you needed him to be in that moment. And as an actor, that was a great gift because I didn't have to show the darkness all the time. But it was tough. It was tough not to take it home with me at the end of the day.
Michael Chernus, I want to thank you for joining me today. All 8 episodes of Devil in Disguise, John Wayne Gacy are streaming now on Peacock. Open up the Peacock app or visit peacocktv.com and search Devil in Disguise, John Wayne Gacy. Michael, thanks for joining me, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Ever wonder what happens when a football star gets a second shot at his dreams, well, under a fake name? Hulu's new comedy, Chad Powers, follows Glenn Powell as a disgraced quarterback who reinvents himself in the most unexpected ways. So joining us is Wynn Everett. She plays Trisha, a Southern socialite and booster caught up in the wild world of small-town football. Welcome to the show, Wynn. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. The show has such a fun premise. There's a quarterback pretending to be someone else just to get back on the field. What first hooked you about Chad Powers when you read the script?
Well, Chad Powers came to me as one of the greatest gifts of my lifetime because I had moved back home to Atlanta, to the South. I was raised in Atlanta. And I had done New York for 9 years and Los Angeles. My husband and I decided we want to move back to the South, to Atlanta. And then I've been working here. And then all of a sudden, one day in my email box, I get a script called Chad Powers that was going to be shot here in my hometown in Atlanta with a Southern crew and a Southern creator that wrote this, Michael Waldron. He's also from Atlanta, and Glenn Powell. Together, they created the show. And I was hooked from page one. I was laughing out loud. They created characters that had depth and heart and humor and wit, and sometimes said the most outrageous things and then sometimes said the most tender things. And I fell in love.
And your character, Trisha, brings a lot of Southern charm and maybe a little mischief. How would you describe her personally and the role that she plays in pretty much all this?
So Trisha is the head booster for the South Georgia Catfish. She is in charge of really getting the money for our program, our college football program. And she is very invested. And that's where we come with, in the beginning, in episode 1, we don't have a quarterback. And Trisha wants that quarterback. She wants that position filled ASAP so we can get this program going and get a winning season. And in walks Chad Powers in an open tryout audition. As you can tell, I'm a theater kid.
No worries about that. Speaking of, how did you find inspiration for the role? Anybody that you watch, go to the DMV, go to PTA meetings? What got you there to turn into this character?
Well, when I read it, I actually called a dear friend of mine who works with the boosters at the University of Georgia. And so he kind of walked me through what a booster meeting looks like and how these ladies act and work with the people that are donating to the team and to the school. And he really, really helped inform me sort of the world of boosters, which is it's an insane culture in and of itself. And so I was really able to draw from that. And then, for Trisha, she's just every Southern woman that I was raised by. My mother is a bit of a Trisha. I have Trisha in my neighborhood right now that mothers me, just people that are in charge and can sometimes be bossy. I don't want to say that too loud because then my mother will call me. And they're just loving, but they also will tell you what to do, and they've got some opinions.
I could almost guarantee your mom's not watching this show.
I'm safe. I can say everything.
Good. Yeah, no, all spoilers allowed here. It kind of takes a shot at sports culture, but also redemption and identity. What kind of conversations were happening on set about those deeper themes and behind some of the laughs you guys got?
Well, and that's what I think is people that watch this show, it is not what you expect. You know, it's taken from a 10-minute sketch of Eli Manning's, and Glenn Powell and Michael Waldron created this entire world, but it is just not what you expect. It's got the witty moments, it's got the humor, it's got the comedy, but then it can be very dark. The characters say things that are super inappropriate and very vulnerable at times and make you very uncomfortable. And then it's got a lot of tenderness that people are not expecting. So we just want so much for people. If you think you know what it is and you don't want to watch it, we want you to tune in, and we hope to change your mind and that you fall in love with this world.
And you've had such a wide-ranging career, from Agent Carter to Doom Patrol and now Chad Powers. How does this project stand out for you compared to some of your other past roles?
This just stands out for me because it's my heart. It's where I was born and raised in the South in Georgia. It's got the characters that I grew up with. It's got a voice and an energy about it that I know. I know the energy of the South and the University of Georgia my parents went to, where we filmed our finale at the University of Georgia in the actual stadium with 93,000 fans all there. It's all real. It's all live. It's crazy what they did as a production in that scene in the finale. And so this is just a super special project to me. It's basically like coming home.
Wynn, I want to thank you for joining me today. You can catch Chad Powers. It's now streaming on Hulu with new episodes every Tuesday. Wynn Everett, thanks for joining me today, my friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I visited Albuquerque, and I shot a show there years ago, and I loved it. I had such a fun time there.
Well, thank you for being part of the Albuquerque production world, or universe that we call ourselves.
I did. It was in plain sight. I did there.
Great. I had a lot of friends that did work on that. So anything about Albuquerque that you remember that you loved? I know this is an offhand question.
You know what is you're gonna this is hilarious. This is what I remember is they put me in a hotel that did not have a restaurant near it. And so I walked on the freeway to the Olive Garden. I know. So if anybody goes back in their mind that's watching that and goes, I remember about 10 years ago, a girl I saw on the freeway, that was me. But here's the thing. Everyone that I met on that production, everywhere I went around that time, everyone was just so warm, so kind, so welcome, so loving. I had a great experience there.
There you go. That's some positive energy from Wynn Everett for a New Mexico film. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in and checking out New Mexico Rising. If you want to be on our show, email us at newmexicorising@gmail.com or visit our website at newmexicorising.com. Be sure to follow us on social media on Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Mexico Rising. That was our show, New Mexico Rising. You take care, and we'll see you next week.
Carry on, it's because